are and some of the signings you brought in. But is anyone worried about what United could actually go on to do, looking at how much money they I think they're the only club in the league that generate more than we do on a match day, and how big of a size club they are. Like if they get into the top four and recruit players well,
just really funny. Like
we've become a force, and Chelsea may be looking going, it's another team we've got to compete with now.
We got a lot of stick for dropping below like 3 or 4 teams in terms of the revenue, and it's not nice to see because we're always on number one. But it was like 5 million behind this team and 10 million behind this team, and that's without European football and coming 15th. But yeah, it was only a couple of million behind everybody. And that's why when people go, oh, United have just finished and broke, I do laugh because you're just being scared. That's where you are being scaremongered by the media and by negative Man United fans. It would take another 20 years of us finishing between 10th and 15th to be completely and utterly finished with too big an institute, with too big a club. And yeah, look, listen, we've got to pounce. Man United have got to tonight, and it starts tonight. I'm not going to write I think we will. I'm going to go with 2-1 Man United. I think we've got a good chance, but I'm not writing Everton off because they're a decent team. They're a decent side, and do you know what? They've had quite a few games at their new stadium this year where they've looked good and not quite got over the line, or they've lost it. And at some point, they're going to give a big team a bit of a beat in there, and I just hope it isn't Manchester United. They're playing a few other big teams there soon, but I'm confident we can get the win if we start the game with Šeško. But I look at the next 2 games for us. Away at Everton, then we're home against Crystal Palace. Chelsea are playing Arsenal away. And there's an opportunity for us here tonight to go 3 points behind Villa. They're on a bit of a rocky run. And a chance over the next 2 games, because I do think Arsenal will beat Chelsea as of today. Maybe my mind changes in the week, but right now I think Arsenal nick that game. We've got a chance to go 6 points clear of Chelsea. We've got a chance to maintain a 3-point gap over Liverpool. But even more importantly, we've got an opportunity over the next 2 games to go 8+ points over the teams below 6th, which means we're very not done, but we're moving into the realms of being very close to securing some type of European football, which I think is important for us. From a 1, you want to be able to win these trophies. 2, it's a revenue element. Back to 2 matches a week. There's revenue in there, sponsorships, etc. Hopefully, it's the Champions League with the money that's in that. It's key for us, but we've got a great chance here. Playing 1 game a week. And I'm not getting carried away moving into next season, because next season, if we're back in Europe, it's a different realm. We need a bigger squad, a better squad. I'm not sold on. I love what Carrick's done. I love the man. I'm not sold on it yet, though. We made a few mistakes against West Ham. I want to test that a little more. But in terms of this season, if we're isolating it to this campaign, Chelsea and Liverpool and Villa have massive runs in the next 6 to 7, 8 Premier League games, coupled with coupled with Champions League games, FA Cup games. We've got 1 game a week in that period, and it will be extremely frustrating if these players can't muster the energy and the effort to put the performances together. We've gone away from the 3 at the back. We are playing better football. We have got some very good players in Bruno Fernandes, in Bumo, Cunha, Šeško, Kobe Mainu back in the fold. We must capitalize. And, often expectations within a season change, and that's acceptable. And now there is an expectation on us to finish in a Champions League position. I don't think that expectation was there 4 or 5 months ago, but nobody expected Chelsea or Liverpool to be where they are at the moment. We all thought you'd be better. I think everybody assumed Newcastle would have a better season than they're having. But I'm not taking it away from United. Some United fans have done this whole gimmick of, well, we're only in 4th place because other teams have fallen off. That's only half true. We still had to win the games. If we didn't win our games, we'd have made, if we had the same win ratio as last year, we'd be 15th again. So we've still had to win football matches and done it. But I'm always a quietly confident person. I rarely absolutely write teams off and give it the big one. And I don't feel like doing that. I feel like we'd be tempting the football gods. But win tonight, and what that really does do if we win tonight, it puts a lot more pressure on the Chelseas and Liverpools going into next week's games, because we've got Palace at home, which I really do think will win. They're not very good at the moment. And they've got a European match in the build-up to that. So from my point of view and perspective, they'll have a weakened team because of that. Win tonight, beat Palace, and then I'm looking at over the Chelsea and Liverpool. I think we can create a nice little gap.
For me, like you said, Terry, and that's the example of the Chelsea situation. It's just personally small tweaks. So Amorim with Manchester United playing the 3-4-3. Carrick, all he's done, he hasn't bought any players.
A lot of people ask me, why do I choose day trading over buying and holding? The truth is,
players, and all he's done is he's changed the system. Everyone, it's clear to see. Four at the back, you're playing Luke Shaw as a left-sided centre back, but play him as part of a back four. Play, the 4-2-3-1. Like that man. That's all Carrick's really done. Okay, he's a bit of impetus. He's just changed the system, and Manchester United are flying now. They've got good players. They've got a good squad. But if you set them up incorrectly in this Premier League, they will get beaten. And that's the difference. It's as simple as that. Sometimes it's not like this big master stroke. It's working with what you've got and just changing it around a bit.
No, I agree, Marty. And I think, I still think United have got a squad that I'd rate somewhere between average and good. Okay, some people might good. Some might say good to very good. I still go, and when I'm judging average, I'm judging a squad that could cope with 2 games a week. A team that's got to cope with 1 game a week is probably in that good to very good category because you don't have to rotate as much. But as much as I still think that massive squad improvements are needed, when Amorim was under pressure, a lot of people said, Terry, but you said the squad ain't very good. How can you judge Amorim?
Plays the wrong system.
Well, exactly. I still think it's a good enough squad to win more than 1 game, 30% of your matches, one in 3 essentially.
Listen, you beat Arsenal. You beat Arsenal convincingly. Like you were fantastic, right? You lost drew with West Ham. West Ham, I watched them the other night. West Ham they're now fighting for their lives, and they're actually a good team. But for some reason, they have not got it together this season, and they've got some good players. And the Manchester United thing, it was never, I think, a rocket science or open brain surgery, and it was just quite straightforward. This is how you play. This is what you've got to do. Play the players in the right positions and system, and they will go and perform. End of. And that's exactly what they're doing now. And they are a good team. Albeit, a game a week, etc. I understand all that, but I think they are. I've seen them. I've seen them beat Arsenal.
I'd argue as well. I think I look at Rosenior and I look at Carrick. Right, there's not an over sciencing. It's what does my head in is when you look at all the Twitter tacticos, thinking how they talk about all the half spaces and all this sort of stuff. Right, what Rosenior and Carrick have just done, and I think the Arsenal United game is a great example of it. All Carrick was saying there was, like I said, fullbacks are fullbacks. Centre-backs are centre-backs. Wingers are wingers, right? Get the ball forward, drive into the space, do what you need to do.
Score more than you concede.
Stuff like that. There's obviously tactics and discussions that are being had, but there's not this over-sciencing of for example, we had Maresca, the one thing I always hated. Oh, we're going to invert Gusto into midfield. So we got this shape and do this and the three at the back will do this, and then our goalkeeper plays centre forward. It's like, why are we doing that? It's like, just keep it simple, get the job done, and that's the most important thing. You get over the line, it's stuff like that where, look, I think in Chelsea's case, the United team's really good. I agree with what's being said. I think United will get over the line, because what Carrick's done is he's not been wedded to a philosophy and a system and how he does things. He's just gone, I need to win games. These are the players I have. This is the shape. This is what we do. Rossini's trying to do something similar with Chelsea, but unfortunately, because he's got Tweedledee and Tweedledum and the sporting director trying to tell him how to do things, despite the fact they've never coached in their lives, he's now having to deal with the politics of that and the medical team and this and that. Whereas United, they've gone, right, Michael, crack on, mate. It's just like he's just going, yeah, all right, sweet. This is how it is at United. This is how we do things. This is how it works.
I even think if he has a strong end to the season with United, that they could offer him the job in the summer.
He should have it if he gets it. If that's the case, in my opinion, I don't know who else takes it. I mean, Terry.
I think Villa fall out the top 4 or 5. I think the run of games they've got is going to be difficult, and Rodgers and Watkins have fallen off, and I think United could finish 3rd. And if you said to a United fan at the beginning, say, okay, going out to Grimsby isn't exactly great in the League Cup, but if you said you'd finish 3rd, I think 99.9% of United fans would bite your hand off that. I know the whole standards FC must be like United must win trophies and whatnot, but surely if he gets 3rd, Terry, United go.
Yeah, no, look, listen, I think he should be in with a chance of doing it, but there's loads you have to weigh up, because there's one thing about being a good coach when you're putting an arm around everybody's shoulder and saying, come on, guys, I'm going to galvanize you. How does that relationship change in the summer where it's like these 5 players are going, these new guys are coming in? Equally, some people are really good coaches, 1 game a week. Brendan Rodgers, give him 2 games a week, different manager. So far, we're seeing it with Eddie Howe at Newcastle. When he's got to do 2 games a week, maybe it's because the squad ain't deep enough, but maybe it's because it's a different thing. To coaching and managing isn't the same thing for me. And there's a comment that came through saying, if you listen to ex-players, most talk about the fact that Fergie didn't really have tactics. It was about motivation. That's because Fergie was the manager. He had head coaches that did the tactics. So this is also where, when the Pep Fergie comparisons happen, I'm at a point where, listen, I never disrespect Pep. I think he's amazing, but they did different jobs. Pep could not do what Fergie did. He couldn't run a football club. He couldn't run every facet of a football club. Wenger, Cloughy, Paisley, Shankly, Nicholson. These guys run football clubs. It's a very different role to the modern day. Managers aren't managers anymore. They're essentially head coaches. And I saw Gus Poyet was talking about it, how he doesn't like the idea that a sporting director... Well, I agree and I disagree with what... Have you guys all seen Gus Poyet's interview?
I loved that interview. It was great.
And he's right. So I agree with part and disagree with others. Sporting director... I've said for a while now, there is no manager that's winning trophies without a good sporting director. However, you need them. And I think they're just as important. Liverpool have gone backwards this year. And part of it's on Slot. I think one of the biggest issues is Hughes and Richards and Hughes allowed the system to be changed that had been working for all those years. That, for me, is a bigger mistake than the guy that actually implemented the system. It's allowing it to happen in the... You know what I mean? If you turn around to your kids and go, right, I'm going to let you throw a party and no adults will be here, your kids might over-invite and your house gets smashed up and they're accountable. But you're the idiot for letting it happen, right? And that's... But where Gus Poyet was correct is the sporting directors don't face the scrutiny in the media. They don't come out and speak to anybody. They kind of just get away with it when it goes wrong. And I think something's got to change in that regard. But look, we could end up with multiple managers. But equally, some of the big guys might not want United right now. Like, is Luis Enrique really going to leave this PSG team and squad to help us rebuild over the next 2 years? 3 years.
Terry, you say that about media stuff, and do you know, I watched Michael Carrick's media interview, obviously about that incident with Ratcliffe. Personally, I think he handled it really well, very professionally. What I like about Michael Carrick, he knows Manchester United. You said about what happens when it's 2 games a week. Listen, Michael Carrick knows about 2 games a week because he played Manchester United for years, having that amount of pressure. For me, personally, I think he's the perfect guy for the job. Like, he's come in, done what he's needed to do. The job is pretty, I say, straightforward. It's not. It's, managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. But he holds himself very well. He speaks very well. He is doing the business on the pitch to the point your man's nearly had his hair cut. They're 4 wins on a bounce. That was never looking like it. That was like, mate, this geezer, we're still going to be like this in 10 years. Like, is there, personally, I think there's a bit of PTSD with the Solskjaer appointment. For me, Carrick is completely different from Solskjaer. Solskjaer, listen, good player, won it, but he's not a leader. He's not that solid character. No disrespect to him. I don't say that. For me, Michael Carrick, it reminds me a lot, if I'm honest with you, of Arteta.
I was literally about to make that comparison.
He's like that midfield role. He's a solid guy. He's very professional. He holds himself very well. He clearly has the respect from the players. He knows the club back to front. He's been there for years. He's been at a variety of, Premier League. He's won it all. He's, seen it, got the T-shirt, the lot. And do you know what? He is doing a fantastic job right here, right now. You can't, Terry, as a Manchester United / Arsenal fan, right, you must say that, where you're at now, would you ever have thought that you would be here right now?
I look, a lot of what you said I agree with. I would love Carrick to be the guy, because for me,
I think he is.
One of your own legends becoming your manager and hopefully taking you back to the promised land. Yeah. I'm a romantic when it comes to football. Now, I won't make a decision based on romance that will hurt my club. If he isn't a good enough manager, see you later. If a player's past his best, see you later, because we've got to win. But if you could ask me to wave a magic wand and go, who do you want your manager to be? It's someone who played for us that's already a legend. Who do you want your best striker to be? Someone from the academy. I would love a team. You know, if I could fast forward 3 years and we've got a team that can win it, could win it all. I'd love the core to be from our academy. I'd love it, because for me, that's one part that made me fall in love with Man United as a kid, learning about the Busby Babes. And it's this very sad and tragic story, but it was the beauty of it. It was this, and United fans that don't know any of this stuff, please read it. You're even though you love the club already, your mind will change. Learning that
retirement should be a time of freedom and fulfillment, but for many, it can feel uncertain due to financial worries and doubts. When it comes to retirement planning, my clients often tell me they're fearful of.
we had a 50,000 strong London supporters club in the 50s based on this brand of football with all these young budding players that were cultivated from around the country and taken into Man United. And we were playing a brand of football nobody had seen. And we have a song that speaks about, you know, get yourself to that football ground, you know, when we're playing, you know, see football, talk about Matt Busby. And the song is very much about, I'm not going to sing it because I'm an awful singer, about, it's from the 50s. But we still sing it now because it's about, you're going to see something you've never seen before. And young kids were watching it in London, in the north, in the east, and going, I want to support that team. So when people go, oh, United only started growing like a fan base when Sky started and they started winning the Premier League, you're morons. You don't understand the football club. We did it because of how we built this team through youth and exuberance and flamboyant, fast-paced football. When I heard Jamie Carragher the other day go on about how your identity only exists because of Sir Alex, firstly, every club that has the identity that he then spoke on only stem from one manager, like stem from a manager, which is why can't United have one? But it started with Busby, and listening to the mainstream media lie and butcher that segment hurt my soul. And it's why I push so hard as best I can. And sometimes I get it wrong as well because I'm a human, for the truth. And if I see a narrative being pushed by the media that's completely and utterly false, for instance, the nonsense about not false or misrepresented, because it was only 4 weeks ago the media put out an article saying Arsenal ranked third bottom in the league for a percentage of goals scored from open play, but it was Fugazi because the percentage was quite low, but the total amount was massive. So it doesn't really, it's a bit like if they were 100 goals scored in the league, but they also scored 100 from set pieces, they'd have been ranked bottom for the ratio level. But yet, why would that have been relevant if you scored 200 goals? And I give an extreme example to prove the point. And I like the truth about these things, but I'd love it to be Carrick. But there's a long way to go on that yet.
三零二，是302。302是最高的。那但是最没有力的这个多一点力，对。
So you do like this
这样最高的不是这个。
No, she said you do